Hello and welcome to my channel In Search of Wonder. My name is Anne and this is my weekly wrap-up. Today is Thursday evening. We just got back from a soccer game. Our team won, yay. There were some tense moments, but we won. And I decided to film all of this now because I have a minute, like a quick minute. And I'm just spying my husband through the window there. I have a quick minute. Okay, go away. Fly thing. I don't need you here. I have a quick minute and I am not going to have any minutes the rest of the week. So I am flying out tomorrow night to my niece's wedding. For those keeping score at home, that is the second niece wedding of the year. So yeah, and there are plenty more nieces and nephews. I don't think any of them, most of them are not close to getting married, but they're, I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to a wedding, so I don't have any more time to film or edit or post a video. So I am going to get this all ready, and this will be my weekly wrap up. And then anything I read the rest of this week, I'll just put on the next week's wrap up. So I do have a book that I finished, a book I DNF'd, and a book that's in progress. And then I have a book haul to show you. So first of all, let's start with the DNF. So I started The Brilliance of Stars. This was my pick for the Chantel Read Your Shelf Challenge. On the Doyle side, you're supposed to read a book involving ciphers or a mystery to solve or a puzzle or a clue or something like that. And I picked this up because it's a spy story. It had been on my shelf for a while, and I just wanted to read it and see if I don't know, see if I liked it or not. I wasn't sure because this author has been hit or miss for me, and I didn't know, so I thought I'd give it a try. And I ended up DNFing it for a couple of reasons. Okay, first of all, okay, something bit my ankles already, so I have applied some bug spray. We'll see if I can survive any longer out here. See how much I can get done. Anyway, so The Brilliance of Stars. I don't really love spy stories, and I decided I'm understanding more why. I think because the morality in them, the ethics, can get so ambiguous, and it frustrates me a little bit. And I feel like that was especially true in this book, even though it's published by Thomas Nelson, which anymore doesn't necessarily mean Christian, but clean. But regardless of whether or not this was a Christian book, I just felt like the morality was very ambiguous. And one incident that really frustrated me, beyond like the blood and guts and the gore, which was very violent, very brutal story, it describes in detail like the fights that the characters get into, and all of that kind of stuff. You know, like knife fights and all of these. Anyway, it describes them in great detail, and I don't need all that. I'm not interested. That doesn't interest me particularly as a reader. So I was getting a little bit frustrated with that. But then there was one incident where the leader of the team, they were on a mission in Russia, and he was hollering at his team for insubordination, and truly, you know, they were being insubordinate and they needed a talking to. But at the same time, he was forging ahead with an unauthorized mission and justifying it, while at the same time expecting his people below him to obey him unquestioningly. And so that just came across hypocritical. Now, that was halfway through the book. I don't know if later at some point that gets resolved, and you know that he realizes that the error of that. I don't know, but anyway, so that was one reason why I DNF'd that one, and I'm gonna go inside. New venue. I have like 10 bug bites on my ankles. That's ridiculous. I don't even know what it was biting me. Anyway, so this book, that's the main reason. Just too much brutal violence depicted in detail, too much detail for me personally. And then just too much moral ambiguity. Like, I don't know, it's not like the spy team was, I don't know how to put it. I guess the guy that they were going after was genuinely a bad guy, you know, like a weapons dealer and everything. But just the way that the whole plan that they did, just, I don't want to like give any spoilers or whatever. I don't know. To me, it was just, I don't know. And it was basically an assassin mission, not a spying mission per se, which I know all that kind of goes hand in hand in many ways, but it's the assassin part. I don't know. I just don't really like that aspect of it and all of the violent fighting and whatever. I know it happens, but I don't particularly want to read about it just for fun, for entertainment. Like, if there's a deeper purpose or a point, you know, I can get behind that, but just for entertainment, it doesn't entertain me, I guess. I don't know. But I do think some people would really like this because the story, it was well written. It was engaging. The characters, I liked the characters overall and the relationship that was building. And then there's like some different tension and conflicts going on with different people. I like the concept of the spy team or whatever to an extent. Part of the reason for the ambiguity here was that it was I don't know how you say it, like extra governmental agency. Like, it wasn't a government directed agency. And to me, that adds a layer of more moral ambiguity, that they're just, it becomes like vigilante justice almost in a way. People taking matters into their own hands. I don't know. Anyway, all of that, I DNF'd. So then, oops. The book that I finished is And They All Sang Hallelujah by Dixon D. Bruce Jr. So this book is a nonfiction, and it is about the camp meeting culture that was prevalent in the South and Midwest United States during the first half of the 19th century. And it's very interesting. This author is an expert on, as I looked up after I was reading this to find out more about him, this author, I believe he's a professor at a Southern university somewhere, or was at some point. And he has made an emphasis in his career of Southern studies and the history of the United States, particularly the antebellum South. And so he's looking at the antebellum culture here through the lens of the religion, specifically the camp meeting, the revivals and the tent revivals, and the culture and the religion that sprung up out of that. What's interesting is he's clearly writing from a secular analytical perspective. It's not a believer sharing a shared history of fellow believers. It is someone, if I can put it this way, on the outside looking in, like making observations, kind of like, you know, studying animals in the wild, kind of, you know, like making observations and drawing conclusions. So it was very interesting from that perspective. He looked at the influence that the environment and the political environment and the social and cultural issues, the influence that they had on the denominations that were largely involved in the camp meetings, which was mostly the Baptists and the Methodists, but also at the beginning, the Presbyterians as well. And then he looked at the influence that these denominations had on Southern culture and its development via the camp meetings. And it was very intriguing from that perspective. It was interesting. I learned a lot. And it was also just often amusing, honestly, to read his attempts to understand some of the ways that they worshiped in the camp meeting. In particular, his emphasis was on analyzing the lyrics of the choruses that they sang. But I realized as I was reading it, like, you can't really build a lot from their religion based on those choruses for a couple of reasons. First of all, these choruses were tacked onto actual hymns. And I know nowadays it's kind of the joke, like, you know, if a modern worship writer can't come up with a whole brand new song, then they just tack a new hymn onto tack a new chorus onto an old hymn, right? Well, that was happening back in the 1800s as well. There's nothing new under the sun. So they would add these new choruses to existing hymns for good reasons, because the people that came to the camp meetings were not necessarily people who were familiar with the church environment. They were not necessarily people who already knew all the old hymns. It was impossible to provide 1,000 people with printed hymns. It was just not, the budget was just not possible. So what would happen is people who knew the hymns would sing the entire hymn, and then they would sing a chorus where the entire gathering of people could join in on the chorus. So the choruses were very basic, and they covered very basic, they honed in on a couple of basic concepts, like, you know, one day we're going to be in heaven, it's going to be glorious kind of idea. And, or, you know, praise God, Jesus saved me, that kind of stuff. Like, it was, you know, pretty basic expressions of praise that were tacked onto hymns that, you know, our usual hymn. So he wasn't analyzing the hymns for the doctrinal theological content. He was analyzing only the choruses. And so then he was inferring from that a lot of conclusions about the camp meeting religion that they created, as he called it. And I think that that led to some false, like there were some false assumptions there that led to some inaccurate conclusions on his part. I can see where he could make the error, but having not grown up like in a church setting or having a personal, intimate understanding with how this sort of stuff works. And I don't have a personal, intimate understanding with camp meetings of that kind, but I do have an understanding of, you know, I've grown up in a church all my life and in a variety of different worship type atmospheres. So it's easier for me to understand what they were doing in the camp meetings and the purpose for some of the things, and also to have a clearer eye to understand that those choruses were not the sum total of what was being taught or the doctrine that was being embraced in these camp meetings. There was a lot more to it than that. One thing that kind of tickled my funny bone, just a second. Sorry, this is going to be largely unedited because I don't have time. So I apologize for hiccups and unprofessionalness. Sorry, it's just gonna kind of go straight to the YouTube. So anyway, one thing that kind of tickled my bone was he observed that so much of the choruses were about, basically, if I could sum up, the lyrics were something like, you know, the world stinks, but thank goodness we're on our way to heaven. Okay, I'm summing up. They're much more lyrical than that, but that's the basic idea. And so he described it like he was a little bit baffled by the fact that these people literally, in his mind, they literally saw zero hope for life, for their life on earth. Like they did, in his mind, they saw nothing to look forward to, nothing to hope for in this life, that their only hope, that their, the only source of joy in their life was the fact that they would be in heaven one day. Now, that's a pretty tremendous hope and a driving hope. But I think he's missing the point a little bit, that it's not that, our daily life is so terrible. I mean, I think we can get down in the dumps and we can kind of get that feeling, but the joy of the Lord is with us for believers, and we see God working even in dire circumstances, and we have hope in this life and the next. It's not a miserable existence. And he used the term fatalistic several times. He's like, they had this fatalistic attitude. And I think he didn't quite understand what they were saying, what the point was. So that honestly tickled me a little bit. I thought it was kind of funny. But it was very interesting. In the end, I gave it like 3.5 stars. I was waffling between 3.5 to 4 stars. It's obviously very well researched. I learned a lot. It was interesting. It's a very niche sort of book. I'm not saying that everybody would probably want to run out and read this, but I found it interesting. I enjoyed it. I was a little bit amused by the analytical observations that kind of got off the track just a little bit, but it was interesting. I didn't quite get out of it what I was hoping, which was a little bit more hymn history, which is kind of my main interest, but it was still interesting. So I thought there's more that I could say about it, but I'm going to move on. This is the book that I'm reading. I checked it out of the library. So I posted a short and I had a whole bunch of books, 4 books. Some of them were library books. One was actually from my TBR, and then one was another book that I had gotten in the mail. And so I did a video, but before I could get any responses on it, I just had my husband pick a number, and he picked number 3. So I picked up this one, and this is Cold Brew Corpse. And it is a cozy mystery, and I just saw it at my library, and I picked it up because it's a coffee lover's mystery. And I mean, what's not to love about that? So it's set in Florida, in an island off the southern tip of Florida. And it's actually set in like late summer, like early September kind of time frame. So that was cool. Although it's a very like hot and sweaty summery feeling in this story, not fall feeling like I have here in Virginia at this time of year. And the girl in the story owns a cafe with her dad called Purgatory, which is so cute. Love that name. And so there's a little bit of humor. The owner of the yoga studio next door to her coffee shop goes missing. And so there's a mystery involving that. And she is interested in, romantically, in the girl who owns the coffee shop. She is interested in the police chief, who obviously is investigating this missing person case. And then there's some backstory about a girl on that same island who had gone missing when the main character was in high school. So there are a few layers of story going on. And it's very interesting. It's a little bit, I don't know what the word is, rough around the edges maybe. I mean, it's a cozy mystery, so there's nothing like blatantly enough to make me be like, okay, I'm not reading this book anymore. There is like some occasional mild cuss words and some, not innuendos is not wrong because they're not like sly, but like, you know, that kind of stuff, like mentions of physical features and that kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. A little bit of that. So far, it's not enough to make me be like, okay, I'm not going to read this book. But I'm assuming that being a cozy mystery, it's not going to get too much into that sort of thing. And the main character is interesting enough, and she's a very frank narrator. Like, she says what she's thinking, and she's really, even though she's like really into coffee and she loves coffee and she loves baking, she is not into like health food or healthy things like kombucha, for example, or yoga or any of that kind of stuff. She's like, and she's very she likes to be a little bit sarcastic about all those things. So it's actually kind of really funny. So, I mean, I happen to like kombucha, but I think it's funny. She says that it tastes like feet dipped in vinegar, which I thought was actually pretty amusing and kind of accurate, but I actually kind of like it. So I don't know what that says about me, but anyways, it's interesting enough to keep me reading, and I'm like, I guess not quite 100 pages into that one. So then I have a bit of a haul to show you. So first of all, what shall I do first? I shall do the library haul first. So I just picked this up randomly when I was looking around at the library, and I saw that, and the coffee idea kind of pulled me in. Plus, I've been wanting to try a cozy mystery. But also, I had gone to the library because there were 2 books I had requested. And these were books by authors that I had met at the book festival that I went to recently. And I'm really interested in these. I don't know if we'll get to them, but I want to. So Hanging Mary is about a woman who was involved in the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And then this one, Fearful Breakers by Janice Seabury. Now this one kind of interests me, but at the same time, I don't really love seafaring novels. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm willing to give it a try because it starts out in the Caribbean, which I think is interesting. So we'll see. And then I picked this one up, and since then, I've seen some good things about this author, Erica Roebuck. So if you know anything about this, let me know. It's called The House of Hawthorne, and it is about Nathaniel Hawthorne and his wife. So it says, beset by crippling headaches from a young age and endowed with a talent for drawing, Sophia is discouraged by her well-known New England family from pursuing a woman's traditional roles. But from their first meeting, Nathaniel and Sophia begin an intense romantic relationship that, despite many setbacks, leads to their marriage. Together, they will cross continents, raise children, and experience all the beauty and tragedy of an exceptional partnership. Sophia's vivid journals and her masterful paintings kindle a fire in Nathaniel, inspiring his writing. But their children's needs and the death of loved ones steal Sophia's energy and time for her art, fueling in her a perennial tug of war between fulfilling her domestic duties and pursuing her own desires. So, she also wrote Hemingway's Girl, about Hemingway and his girl. So I might be interested in reading that one. But this one, I love the cover, and the cover definitely has like autumn vibes. So I liked that. Will I read it? I don't know. I want to though. I really do. I say it every time. Okay, then I ordered some books on Pango Books because I had some Pango Bucks to spend. Yay me. And because I have a series that I have been wanting to read. I put it on my reread list for this year, but I realized, I was thinking, oh, this book has a nice autumn-ish cover. And I say autumn-ish, which isn't a word because I don't like the actual word. I don't like to say it. Autumnal. I don't like how it sounds. I like how it looks on the paper, but I do not like how that word sounds. So it looks very fallish. So I like that. However, it is book 3 in the series. And if I remember correctly, this is one of those series where you want to read them in order. So I ordered the other 2 books in the series because I thought I had them, but I didn't. So Color the Sidewalk for Me is the first one, which does not look fallish at all. So if I want to get to the fallish one during the fall, I have to read these. I don't know. Will I? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But anyways, this one, Color the Sidewalk for Me, and then Cast a Road Before Me. So this is interesting. Brandy Lynn Collins writes mostly suspense and horror maybe, but I have not read any of her suspense books. I've only read this series, which is contemporary-ish. I mean, I think it's more historic. It's like set in the 70s and 80s maybe. And it's not suspenseful really. I mean, I think that there is a bit of, some like family mystery and drama, whatever, but it's not a suspense story really. So I really enjoyed them when I read them many years ago, and I want to read them again and see if I still would enjoy them quite so much. And I may even try some of her suspense novels if I really like these on my reread. So then that brings me to a surprise book haul. So I was expecting these books in the mail, and so I had gotten a notification that they had been delivered. So we get home last night, and there was an Amazon box on my doorstep. And so I forgot momentarily that I had actually ordered these books from Pango Books. I was like, oh, those are the books I ordered. So I bring the Amazon box inside and I set it on my table, and then I go and get the scissors to open it, and I look inside and it's wrapped bags, like, the Amazon gift bags that you can get. And I was like, oh, well, maybe she just, because by then it clicked that I had bought it on Pango Books and not Amazon. I was like, oh, well, maybe whoever sent it just reused the packaging from Amazon. That's kind of smart. But then I realized that there was actually, there were actually like tags, like brand new tags on Amazon. I was like, wait a second. I'm not expecting anything from Amazon. I don't have any reason for anybody to send me something. And then I finally found like the actual tag with a note on it, and it was from Chrissy at Chrissy's Purple Library. And she is just the sweetest person, and she is one of the brightest lights on BookTube. I'm sure that if you have been in the BookTube community at all, then you know about Chrissy, but if not, definitely go check out her channel and you will be blessed. She is just full of the joy of the Lord, and I cannot watch her videos without having a smile on my face. And she is just a sweetheart to boot. So the first thing that I opened up was this. And at first I was like, how did she know that I want this? It was like, did God like whisper directly in her ear or something? And I forgot that I had actually put it right away on my wish list. Normally I'm not that up on things. Like, it takes me a while to remember to put something on my wish list after I have seen it and been interested in it. When my sister and I went to the Bible Museum a few weeks ago, and we saw the Pilgrim's Progress there, which if you've watched my videos, you remember me talking about that. In their bookstore and elsewhere, they had advertised this book, Spurgeon and the Psalms. And I was very interested in that book, but they did not have it in stock anywhere. I would have bought it that day if I had seen it there, but I did not see it in stock. So apparently I went home and put it on my Amazon wish list, which I totally forgot about. And so Chrissy saw it and sent it to me. And I love this. It's like a little mini Bible, but it's just, I don't even think it's all of the Psalms. Maybe it is. So I guess it looks like it's good. Well, that's 115. There's 150 altogether. So yeah, I guess it is all the Psalms. So it has the Psalms, and it's like pages like a Bible, and it has like the gilded edges like a Bible, and the pages feel like a Bible. So it has the Psalms, but then it has his Spurgeon's commentary on the Psalms for each one. So it kind of functions like a devotional, and then it has like cross references also at the bottom for all of the Psalms. And so I love that. I love Spurgeon, and I thought it would be so wonderful to use this as a devotional. Currently, I am going through the New Testament with the Daily Grace Co. With their like podcasts, and so I read the chapter and then I listen to their podcast. But when I am finished with that, I will definitely be utilizing this for devotion, or maybe when my boys and I are finished with our devotion that we're going through together in the mornings, I might dig into this. So anyway, it's a beautiful copy and has this like this little case that it's in. So thank you, Chrissy. But that's not all. She also sent me this, A Winter by the Sea by Julie Klassen. And I am really excited about this. I read the first one. Was it Sisters by the Sea or something like that? I really enjoyed it. It's a slow-paced story, but it has a little bit of Little Women vibes, has a little bit of Sense and Sensibility vibes, and it's one of those similar to her Ivy. Cannot think of the things right now. Apparently, oh my goodness. I can't. Her other series that's set like in a village, it's like that kind of thing. Or, you know, like Cranford by Elizabeth Gaskell, or I don't know if you guys have read the ones like The Village, the Larkspur Inn or whatever by Lawana Blackwell. Like it's that type of scenario where, you know, it's a village and there's all these people in the village, and it's kind of like interweaving their stories together, and it's not really so much plot driven as it is character driven, and you just get to know these people and like their daily lives and their intermingling and all that kind of stuff. So it's a wonderful, cozy book, and I think this one will be really great to read in the winter. I started it in the middle of summer when we were on vacation because my sister lent it to me. She had it with her, but I quickly was like, okay, this is very wintry feeling. I'm in middle of summer vibes here. I'm going to save this for winter. So I am definitely going to be reading this in the winter. So thank you so much, Chrissy, for sending that to me. You are such a sweetheart, and I just want to thank you for that. So that is my weekly wrap up, and we will leave it at that for this week. And like I said, I apologize for any hiccups in this video or extra ums or the inside outside bug biting drama, all of that. Yeah, anyways, so I hope to have my October TBR out later this week, because it's already getting to that time, which is ridiculous, but yeah. Anyway, so I will see you next time.